Have you ever been up here before?
No, not up here. Did Dad ask you to bring me round the works?
You heard of little George Washington?
He couldn't tell a lie.
Your dad asked you to bring it round the works before you go back to school tomorrow.
You'll be expecting me to work here after I've left school.
That's something you must settle with him yourself. I'm rather in Dickie's meadow with your dad at the moment.
What's Dickie's meadow?
A vale of tears and trouble.
Yes? No, I wasn't thinking of cooking anything special. Tomorrow, then. That was Ross. He's coming on the sleeper tonight.
I told him to take a fortnight after the funeral, not a week. Thought you were both going on holiday.
That's fallen through.
Oh. Is he ringing from the works?
I don't know. Do you want me to find out?
No. No, I don't want Henry to think I'm chasing him.
Right in the top there.
How's it going?
Well, he's not very impressed that it's been shown round by the managing director. I'm not doing a selling job, you know.
Did I ask you to?
I did see his eyelashes flicker when I told him a place like this would cost £40 million nowadays.
You couldn't take him back to school tomorrow, could you?
Back to school?
Yeah. Crossland from Mayfields is coming to see me, otherwise I'd take him myself.
I thought Sarah was going to do it.
She's a bit off colour.
I see. I suppose you think I'm the chap that can be most easily spared around here, don't you?
It's an impossible journey by train these days. Perhaps Ross will take him back, otherwise he'll just have to do it the hard way.
I thought that was the point of the whole thing. Making him go back there after running off like he did, doing it the hard way. Isn't it that put Sarah off colour?
Mothers and grandparents.
Too human for you, are we?
We seem to reach a better understanding after one time.
That chap you were talking to in the lorry, who is he?
New driver.
Oh, an incomer. Telling him he was missing in his way in life, were you?
Why?
Well, he'd made a damn good comic, wouldn't he? Back in a lorry like that. Move him before he does some damage. Ah, here's Ross.
I've decided to take the sleeper down to London tonight.
He's got a chauffeuring job for you.
To run Guy back to school.
I'm sorry, I really have to get back.
I'll take him. Seems that nobody else will.
Damn.
What do you expect? It's only a week since the funeral. I've been in the house with him every night. Sometimes you wouldn't think it had happened. Now and then he seems to want to provoke an argument. It's a pity Guy's going back.
Silly, Jim. Mr. Brassington.
Moved into Tom Bottomley's old place yet, Handel?
Aye, I'm in. This lad's is and all. Yeah, they say they couldn't drag him from the house when the old lad died. The first day I was there, he come into the kitchen, had a good sniff at me and made himself at home. So I reckon I've gotten him now.
Is that the one he got for a guard dog that wouldn't bark?
So he got down on all fours and barked at it till it learned. Bit him the first day he got it, he told me. So he bit it back. See how you like that, you bugger, he said.
Oh, what's say, if you treat him fair and look fair, they'll never leave you. Silly. Go on.
Did he mean dogs or women?
You meant men.
I'll just put bolt on door.
Yeah, your 10 minutes grace has gone. You get your glass drained, Jim Turner.
Oh, not every day we have master here.
We couldn't say that about you, could we?
Oh, she's telling me to get myself gone. Could I have a couple of bottles of light to pour down toilet? Save me going in the middle of night.
Out.
She wants me out of the road for some reason or other. I'll drop latch behind me.
Oh, Gran, I don't know why you bother with the fire this time of the year.
Roasting, are you? Well, your bones need a bit of warmth when you get to my age.
Even so, I don't know why you bother with a coal fire.
Well, it's something to care for, is a coal fire. It needs tending, needs care. They say they can't be bothered these days. Not enough time, they say. Yet they spend hours sitting in front of yon thing. They can see things in a fire. I've seen better things in a fire than I've seen on that. There's life in a fire. I knew that when I was a little lass, and I used to sit on the rag rug leaning against my mum's legs looking at it, dreaming. And my dreams would float up chimney on the way to God. They say they can't afford it these days. Wasteful, they say.
I don't remember Great Gran.
Well, you'd be a curiosity if you could. She passed over to a better world months before you flew in.
What time do you get up in the morning?
Day I'm in bed after 7:30 will be the day I die. And that's an indulgence. Been up at 6 for most of my life. I've never sold my life to sleep.
Well, in that case, you won't mind my popping in at 8:30 in the morning to wait for the train. My car's being serviced and Neil's going to drop me off on his way to the works.
So that's why you came to see me, is it?
No. Just the excuse.
Need an excuse, do you?
You know what I mean. Young Guy goes back tomorrow. Fancy him running away like that. Mine wouldn't. They like being away at school. I mean, they get bored at home come the end of the holidays. It's funny, but I've never missed mine the way Sarah misses Guy. But then I go round to... I used to go round to see Mum every day. Sorry. I get weepy every time. I just don't seem to be able to help it.
It'll pass. I'm not a clever woman, but I've lived long. They don't teach in books what I know. You believe your Gran, don't you?
Yes, Gran.
Off on the train, are you, then? Where to?
London, shopping. Ross went back this evening. I might go and see him. I don't know.
See his Scarlet Woman?
I don't suppose I will. I've often thought I might, but I could never pluck up the courage.
Naughty lad.
Oh, I don't know. Ross hasn't wasted his life. What's so marvellous about marriage?
Well, happen you'd know if you hadn't sent your children away to be cared for. But then happen again you'd not. There can be a trial. But then that's what life is, isn't it?
I don't know, Gran. I don't know what life is. Never bothered me till Mum died.
Come in. Oh, it's my fancy, Mum.
Ruth's out. I'd no key.
I'll see you in the morning then, Gran.
Remember what I told you?
Yes, I will.
Good night.
He's missing a mother.
Aye. Pardon.
You smell like brewer's yeast.
Your Henry was in there tonight.
And what's he looking for?
Looking for?
His lass, her that was here just now. Off down to London shopping, she says. Restless. Can't sit still. Same pub has caused all the trouble 5 years or so since, is it?
A black line?
Same woman.
Oh, no, Mabel, let it die. He's like me, for God's sake. He's past it.
No fool like an old fool. Has it never entered your head to fill empty cupboard your daughter left when she died? Aye. I see you're not going to answer me that. Same woman and all, I'll bet. Not that I've anything against her, I mean, I barely know her. But I know her kind. Kept her looks, enjoys being looked at, and banter from men who like to think that they've still got the lad left in them.
It'll come to naught. It never does. It's just a game.
I didn't like to come to the funeral. You know what it's like in a small place like this. Mind you, you can do wrong from doing what you think's right. I sent flowers instead.
No.
No.
I got gawped at tonight, did I? Oh, I kept my back to him.
If the talk about you keeps them off somebody else.
What's the cure, Jess?
For what?
For knowing what you never got round to saying.
Some things don't need to be said.
Yeah. How many years is it since your Ted died?
6. Well, it doesn't seem that long. Nothing like it.
You're not offering me much comfort, are you?
Oh, I mean to. He'd been gone all of a year when you turned up before, and I was still wishing I'd gone with him. You chatted me out of it.
Did I? Glad you told me that.
Shall I ring Baxter's for you?
I'll have to go in a minute. I've got to take young Guy back to school tomorrow, happen.
Yes, he ran away, didn't he? Doesn't he like it there?
I don't know what's at the back of it, if the truth were told. We can get a man on the moon, but we can't get through to each other, can we?
Dan?
Dickie's Meadow.
I'll go to the shop for you, Gran.
Is it the time?
Well, we come to say goodbye, not to go shopping, but... go on, he's got time.
It's a quarter tea, and what's left you can have for spice.
Thanks, Gran.
He knows what spice is now to come by it, for all he's old enough to get wed.
Wed at 16?
Commonplace nowadays.
Well, they know nought at that age.
They know a soft touch when they see one.
Well, if I can't spoil my own great-grandson, I spoiled you.
Well, I hate me on Saturdays, if I was lucky. Most times I wasn't.
Ah, but halfpenny was halfpenny in them days. Not half of 1 pence.
Why aren't Max and Sarah taking him back?
Sarah's not so well.
She wasn't well when I rang her last night. Isn't Max fit to drive either?
Max can't be taken away from his work, and Sarah's got flu.
Flu? Well, at least Max won the battle.
About him going back to school, you mean?
Aye, Sarah thought he might go to school down the road here. She's got it in her mind that if he ran away from the other place once, he could do it again.
Bill thinks he can do as he please if Max doesn't put his foot down.
Well, it's not a very good school down the road. Ruth, who teaches there, says as much.
That's why Sarah gave way. What are you doing here, any road?
Neil dropped me on your way to the works. I'm going up to London shopping. I can't settle. Time I was going for the train. Oh, I'll pop in and ring Neil when I get back, Gran. Box at the station smells. Bye.
It's not one of the 7 deadly sins, is it? To be averse to your own.
Oh, it's barely a week since her mother's funeral. She was more upset than you think.
She made more damn noise, you mean.
Have you tried talking to her?
I've tried.
Tried and failed. Is that it?
She's got a husband to talk to.
Oh, a weak sort of creature, him. Oh, he's always struck me as such any road.
Neil?
Married her because she was a Brassington, I shouldn't be surprised.
And he's paying for it if she thinks she can spend her way out of grief shopping in London.
Well, that's not what she's after. She's after looking for what she's missed in life.
Those 3 there are for Ross.
Thought you'd like to see them first.
He is back, by the way.
He came in the sleeper last night. Apparently only just made the funeral. Flight from Kuwait was delayed.
I hope he explained to Henry why I just couldn't go.
I'm sure he did.
She was a nice woman, Jean. She and Henry were one of the few good advertisements for marriage I've known.
I imagine that's why she never came to see Ross and me. She wouldn't have understood why we dispensed with it, would she? That one's from me.
From you?
You can open it safely. It won't explode. I hope it won't.
Come in a minute, will you? Shut the door. It wouldn't explode, you said.
I hoped it would.
Well, it damn well did. I mean, for God's sake, a letter. Why didn't you just tell me?
Did you try to talk me out of it?
You think I won't, anyway? I'll make a start by dispensing with this.
Well, there are copies on my desk for the file.
Why?
Haven't, I suppose, everything in triplicate?
I don't mean your damn copies, I mean your resignation.
I'm not obliged to give reasons, am I?
Obliged?
Sorry. You got me on the defensive.
Sit down, for God's sake.
I'd rather not.
Look, I'm not going to try to talk you out of it.
You're not?
I owe this to Ross, I suppose.
I'm saving him the embarrassment of leaving me.
Is there someone else?
Another woman, you mean? I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe just because I can't bear the thought, of course. Sorry.
Grand view up here, isn't it?
Yes.
You know, there could be a job for you at the works when you're ready, if you want to.
It'd be like you and Dad then, wouldn't it?
You mean waiting on your dad's shoes? No, I didn't necessarily mean management. I thought you didn't want to go into management.
I don't.
There was a writer called Tawny. I didn't agree with his views, but he could make you sit up. He said something about managers. The odium of capitalism with none of the rewards.
Yes. We read Tawny at school.
Did you? By God, I thought I'm wasting my time. Have you any idea what you do want?
No, not really. Something I won't hate doing that'll earn me a living, that's all.
No great rush? Is there?
A lot of people are out of work, aren't they?
What are you asking me? Will things get better?
Will they?
Oh, if I knew that, they'd have me around in the country, wouldn't they? You'll be all right.
On my own, you mean? Without help from you or Dad?
I reckon you'll stand on your own without us. If that's what you want. Is it?
Yes.
Why?
It's how I feel, that's all.
There's no other reason. Nothing you'd like to talk about?
No. No, I don't think so. Mum's got a hangover again, hasn't she? She drinks too much. She gets bored and she drinks too much. I wish there was something I could do about it.
You want me to keep an eye on her for you?
Would you?
Aye. I'll do that for you. I promise you for it. I'll shake hands on it if you like.
Thanks, Grandad.
Sarah? 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 Oh, there you are.
Hmm?
You all right?
I thought you were at the works.
I came back to see how you were.
Guy went off with your father, did he?
Yes.
You might have woken me up so that I could have said goodbye.
I didn't think you'd want him to see you like this.
Want him to have the same illusions about me that you think he's got about you, do you? Was he all right?
Yes, of course he was all right. Once he'd grasped the fact that I wasn't going to back down, that he was going back to school regardless, he was perfectly all right.
Did you get any nearer to finding out why he ran away? The real reason, I mean.
What real reason?
If I knew that, I wouldn't ask, would I? I just feel there is one. It's got to be something pretty tough to get him back here to face you.
I don't think there was any real reason other than that he doesn't particularly like the place.
I do. So does your father.
Well, why the hell doesn't Guy tell you, then? You have his confidence and understanding.
Confidence? What confidence can he have in a woman who constantly lets herself be browbeaten whenever she tries to put his point of view?
He didn't have a point of view. I was the one who had a point of view, his education.
I agreed with you about that.
What other point of view was it?
His happiness.
Oh. Thrown on the labour market without a decent education. There isn't much prospect of happiness in that. There aren't many jobs for the boys these days, you know. I'm a product of that system. I bear the mark like Cain.
He's intelligent.
Regardless of whether I deserve the job or not.
They say if they're bright enough, they get there anyway.
They? Who's they, Sarah? Parents who can't be bothered and leave it all to the state.
Some parents have to.
Well, we damn well don't. You didn't have the same concern for Gwen.
Gwen had it all worked out. Guy hasn't. Gwen was like you. She didn't need anybody else.
That's how you see me, is it?
It's the awful truth, Max.
Awful?
Awful for me.
I still think of her. Gwenny. Quite often still. And her cold little coffin. You?
Oh, yes.
I suppose that's something we still share.
Cutting it a bit fine, are we?
Oh, I'm all right for a few minutes yet.
Oh, how many girls are there?
Getting on for 50, I think.
Enough to go around. It was all lads when your father and Ross were here. They made up for it after they left, mind you. Hi.
Why has Uncle Ross never married?
It's not compulsory, you know.
He's living with somebody, isn't he?
You're not supposed to know about that.
They talk about it at home. Mum's for it, Dad's against. Gran was upset about it, wasn't she? I don't mean great-gran, I mean...
You mean the Gran has just left us? Aye, she worried about it for a bit. She reckoned that if they loved each other enough to live together, they ought to get wed.
Yes. Yes, I think I'd say that too.
I thought your generation was all for a free and easy life.
Oh, that lot. They belong to the last generation, really. They're old-fashioned.
I see you've returned to the fold, young Brassington.
Yes, sir. This is my grandfather, sir.
I'm Guy's housemaster, and I teach him maths. Evans. I think you should get along in now, lad.
Sir.
I'll try and come and see you during the term sometime. I can't promise just when.
Thanks, Grandad.
And I'll keep that other promise I made you. How's he doing?
Reasonably well.
Could do better.
Ability is higher than achievement, yes.
There's something on his mind.
Has he said so?
Not to me, but then I don't see him that much. What's his problem?
Something more than just not liking the place, you mean?
Well, I mean, he's not a quitter. He's got gut.
You've talked to him?
I try to.
He feels he can talk to you, does he?
On most things, I reckon.
If he turned up at home again, cleared off from here again, I mean, would you make him come back?
I wouldn't know, but then I'm not his father, am I?
He could come to you, though. He'd know that?
I would hope so. Do you think there's any chance of that happening again?
I don't know. I could speculate, but it'd only be instinct. I'm sorry to be vague, but instinct plays quite a big part in this job. If he does clear off again, can I phone you? I mean, the school would ring his parents in the usual way, of course, but I'd like to phone you, if I may.
If I may, there. Thank you.
Is anyone in there? I'm early.
Want me to announce you?
I'll give it a minute or two.
Your sister came.
Dot.
Pam was out, so I asked her up here. She waited half an hour or so. She'd arranged to meet an old school friend, she said.
Thank God for that.
Don't you get on with any of your family? She told me some interesting facts about her early sex life.
That's Dot. Totally indiscreet. You might have been anybody.
Well, she knew who I was all right, only she didn't say. By the way, we'll be eating at home tonight. Well, I couldn't find anywhere I fancied that wasn't booked. Sorry about that.
Ah, Ross, there you are.
Early bird.
Come in. We'll rely on you to keep the hordes at bay. How was Saudi Arabia?
Paved with gold.
They seem happy with the last consignment.
We sorted out the problem on the first. They agreed that 75% was usable.
Sorry you had to be out there when your mother was taken ill.
Would have made no difference if I'd been here. She died the same night.
Yes, I spoke to Dot. How's Henry?
I don't know. Well, I mean, he took it badly. You know how they were.
Yes, I do know. Have you and Henry been getting on all right these last few days?
We were hardly looking to pick another fight in the circumstances.
I could never understand why you fell out in the first place. I mean, he's not a hard-line man, not like Max.
He gave a damn good impression of one at the time.
He sensed you were restless, perhaps. Ready to be on the move again. Didn't want to lose you and couldn't understand why you wanted to go.
Maybe I couldn't understand it myself.
Restless again, eh? I thought as much. I could see it coming. Well, where is it this time, Ross? Not away from the group, I hope.
I don't want to leave the group. Any suggestions?
I was going to make one before you went off to the Middle East.
Yes, I thought maybe you were. I had the impression you wanted me to go back home to the works, and you weren't too sure how I might feel about leaving here. Jill, for one thing.
Can't have been very subtle about it, can I?
You're doing better now. Whose job are you offering me? Dad's or Max's?
Do you want a bit of cake with it?
No, thanks, Gran.
Well, you never said no to cake when you were a little lad.
Well, I'm slimming, trying to lose weight.
Slimming? You're a chap, not a woman. When chaps your age start worrying about their belly sticking out, it usually means they've got a fancy woman hidden away somewhere.
No fancy woman, Gran.
Well, I believe you. Not that you'd tell your gran if you had.
Would you be shocked if I did?
No. But I'd have a few words for you if you did. Pretty little wife like you've got who thinks the world of you.
Who told you that?
I don't need to be told. I've got eyes to see. I'm not blind.
Marriage is rough these days, Gran, for anybody.
Do you think it was ever any different?
You were stuck with it in the old days more than we are today. You made the best of things.
Like things back as they were, would you?
In some ways, it would.
Your dad wouldn't say that. Well, he's had harder times than you, for all the world's been turned upside down these last few years. You ask him if he'd like things back as they were.
We rarely talk about things other than work. Ross is the one he talks to.
Well, you're more like him than Ross, though you may not think so.
Like he used to be, you mean?
He's just gone soft with age, that's all. It'll happen to you one day.
I hope not. I liked him better the way he was.
I saw your car outside.
You brought Guy back with you?
What makes you think I might?
I thought maybe he'd talk you round to it.
You're his father, not me. You say he goes back, back he goes.
Against your better judgment.
My judgment's got nothing to do with it. I just chauffeured him, that's all.
But you'd have liked to bring him back, though, wouldn't you?
There were times when you were a lad. I'd like to have turned the car around and brought you back home, and you'd have been glad of it.
I'm grateful now that you didn't.
Put the iron in your soul, did it?
It helped.
Suppose I was wrong.
Then I'm wrong with Guy.
From one generation to the next, you're blaming me for his upbringing now, are you?
No blame, Dad. I'm saying you were right then.
But not now.
There's a pot of tea in the kitchen.
Aye, I'll have one.
Please?
Please, she says. Manners. Well, lads, all us lives to us mothers for all we put on airs.
Yes.
I took my time coming back. I stopped to look at the view. You'll have managed well enough without me at the works, I dare say.
We got by. It's still there.
You kept damn quiet about finding me in the Black Lion last night.
I promised Ross I'd go up to the house to see you. I didn't follow you to rake over old ashes. She's gone now. It doesn't matter.
I can do as I please now, can I? You know no more about it now than you ever did.
It's time I was getting back.
Aye. Go and tidy up your own backyard.
MAGRATH. Come again.
I'll see you in the morning, then.
What did he want?
I don't know as he wanted anything except to see his gran.
He never does anything without a reason at the back of it.
You know him, do you?
What's that supposed to mean?
He needed somebody to talk to, I think.
Max. Max needs nobody. He lives off the land.
You must be the same, then.
Me?
Who else do you think he's modelled himself on?
Come off it, Ross. You know what you want to say. I've been waiting for it for months. I resigned to make it easier for you.
Hate my guts.
No.
You won't have to leave the job. I wouldn't have let you anyway. I know what it means to you. I'm going back north.
Back to the womb? Sorry, I forgot.
You're right in a sense. It was the funeral that clinched it. I can't be very rational about it. Part of me suffers from arrested development, I suppose. I seem to have an infantile preoccupation with the past.
You're all the same, you Northerners. You never really grow fresh roots. You borrow from other people. Well, you're much too complex for simple people like me. Dreaming of chimneys, moors, brass bands, choirs and kitchens.
It's not going to be easy for me going back. I've changed. Like Bill Summers has changed. I've watched it happen to him over the last few years. A kind of agility you develop to survive.
Yes, they won't know you at home. What's happened to our Ross, they'll say, in that terrible South? I've seen it happen to you, too. But we're none of us immune. We're all more selfish than we were.
Yes, well, I deserve that.
You agonize too much, Ross. You let things you've no control over tear you apart. It leaves you in a kind of darkness where you can't see us anymore. People who care for you. Oh, no. Oh, it's no use trying for a night. That's what it'd be, wouldn't it? You'd better see who it is.
To Leeds, but it gets in awfully late. You couldn't put me up, could you?
Brassington.
Sir?
Settled in?
Yes, sir.
Liked your grandfather?
Yes, sir.
Runs a cement works, doesn't he? It's a great generation, that. Easier to talk to than my generation. Not looking over their shoulder all the time, if you know what I mean.
Yes, sir.
Ever talked to your parents? I mean, about the trouble you're in?
No, sir.
Your grandfather?
No, sir.
You should. I mean, I'm a parent myself. But I know for a fact that my kids get far more sense from my old man than they do from me. You can be too close, too involved in you. And then again, they knew where they were going in their day. There were fixed points. The kind of thing you're looking for, maybe.
Yes, sir.
Come on, Brassington, have another one.
No. I should have to ask your old man to drive me home if I do.
Max won't mind taking you home, will you, Max?
Dad came here to tell you Guy was all right, not to be introduced to your bad habits.
I know why he came here.
I spoke to one of the masters. A young chap called Evans. He seems to be keeping an eye on the lad.
Oh, I think Guy's got the message. I don't think he'll try again. We're all allowed to kick over the traces once, aren't we?
Are we? I must remember that.
You want some more water over there?
Well, maybe. Perhaps you're right. Where is it?
It comes out of a thing called a tap in a place called the kitchen.
What will they think of next?
Thanks. She takes no damn notice of me.
She'll settle now he's gone.
It's just no use telling her I miss him too.
I used to miss you and Ross. Some people send their kids to these schools just to get rid. It was never that with me.
I used to watch you when you left us right to the end of the road. It was always pretty grim that first night. It was all right after that. For me, anyway. I don't know about Ross.
Well, you and Ross had each other.
Well, Guy has friends there. I hardly saw Ross when we were there. We went our own way even then.
I'd better be off.
You all right up there?
All right?
You can always stay here, you know, if you get bored.
Say good night to Sarah for me?
Yes. Yes, I will.
Where's Brassington?
He said to say good night to you.
I don't like to think of him all alone in that house.
I told him he could stay here if he wanted to.
What's it all about, Max? Your father carrying on to the end of the works when he doesn't really have to. You working all the hours there are to the exclusion of everything and everybody.
Not everybody.
To the exclusion of everybody. Guy suffering something he obviously hates so that he can learn to stick it out. To what end, Max? What purpose?
Survival.
Survival for what? All this, is it? Quality furnishings, decorations by Mendels. That hard, smooth gloss finish, that's happiness, is it?
No.
Then what's it about? What end is it a means to?
I don't know, Sarah.
How can you go on if you don't know?
What's the alternative?
All means and no end, is it?
Probably.
Travelling hopefully, never to arrive.
Is that so awful?
Well, perhaps it wouldn't be if I could forget myself in work like you do. Get absorbed in something, some cause. I've neither means nor end. I can't take a job because I'm Mrs. Max Brassington.
That was lovely. But you needn't have bothered. I could have eaten before I got here.
You didn't, did you?
No. Of course not.
Then don't be stupid.
She's nice.
What did you expect? Some silly little tart from the typing pool?
No, of course not. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
I've come here at a bad time.
What makes you think so?
Nothing. Me, I suppose. Then I get that at home.
What?
I don't know. Feeling of being in the way, generally.
Oh, what rubbish.
Ask Neil. Ask him if I bore him.
God, Doc, you say such stupid things.
Yes, well, that's part of it, isn't it? I say stupid things.
Oh, come on.
I irritate him. Sarah's the sort of woman he should have married. Interested in all the sorts of things that he's interested in. She reads books that I can't even begin to understand. She's wasted on Max. He's like me. Hasn't an ounce of culture in him. Oh, I know he's very clever at his job and all that. But when it comes down to it, he's ordinary. Like I am. Ordinary and boring.
What brought this on?
I don't know. But since Mum died, I felt awful, you know. She's the only person who cared for me as I am.
Perhaps that's the same for all of us. Certainly for Dad. It's been a turning point for me, too.
How?
Oh, I found myself remembering things. Me as I was when we were kids. What I wanted. Setting it against what I've got.
You've got everything.
Oh, Dorothy.
I suppose you think I'm being stupid again.
No. No. It's a common assumption, I suppose, to look at people and think they've got everything. Just looking at the face they present, assuming.
What is it you want that you haven't got, then?
That's the awful part of it, really. I'm searching for something, but I don't know what it is.
Bed's ready when you are. I left a couple of spare blankets on the chair. I never know how many to give people.
I'll get rid of these.
That was smashing. I'm a terrible nuisance coming like this.
I like people coming. Your father came once.
Jill, I'm sorry I pretended not to know who you were when I came to the office today.
Did you? I didn't notice.
Well, it's not that I was brought up in blinkers or anything, or... Well, Mum was a bit old-fashioned, I suppose. I envy you in a way, I think.
Envy?
Perhaps it's better, like young people say, to stay together because you want to, not just because you happen to be married.
How's that for a quick washing up job?
He puts it in a bowl and calls it washing up.
Your bedroom's first on the right, bathroom's first on the left.
Thanks. I think I'll just tidy up.
Maybe it's better, she says, to stay together because you want to, not just because you're married.
Dot said that.
Like young people say, she said. Do they anymore? Most of the kids I know want the security of marriage, either sex.
After a trial period, you mean?
I don't know, that's not gone out of fashion. Anyway, we've had ours, haven't we, Ross? Tried and failed.
My failure, not yours.
Is your heavy goods license as genuine as your union card? My father doesn't like your driving. I'm going to have to move you to the work sweeper.
That was a long conversation.
She's asked me to say goodnight to you. She says her face is a mess. She's had a week.
Her mother?
Mother, marriage, inadequacy. What do you say? In the end, it's the blind leading the blind. She wanted to come here. She only pretended to miss the train.
Why need to pretend, for heaven's sake?
That's Dot. Don't ask me why. She seems to think I hold the key to happiness. Sin without guilt and suffering.
That's a love.
Yeah. Poor old Dot. She's not had much sin in her life. She comes to me, and what can I do? You've lived such a full life, she says.
You have, compared to most.
Yes, and it's been so easy. No real effort. You've lived such a full life, she says.
Handel not been in tonight?
Oh, he rarely comes at night since he moved. Comes in at the dinner hour. Always a different lot in the dinner hour. Lads from your place, mostly. Your Les is usually one.
Got the boy back to school?
Here, give him a short, sharp answer, will you? He's stretching the conversation, wants me to stretch my arm to that pump. You'll have to get used to strict closing. Handle'll be doing what I'm doing now, week after next.
We don't have to be looking at Handel for the rest of us drinking lives, do we?
My busman's holiday that I do every year. Take over from my brother-in-law while he has a fortnight off. Oh, he knows, really. He's just pretending to be stupid.
He'll not remember Fallen Angel. Do you?
Which one? I've known so many in my life.
I'm talking about 40-odd year back.
Well, he's not asking much, is he?
Well, we used to go fishing together when we were lads. You, me, and a couple of lasses. One of them looked a bit like her.
I remember the fish.
Who's playing Gormless now?
Look, now you've drunk up. I'll show you the night.
Aye.
It's a grand one, too.
I'm glad I decided to walk. Night, Jess.
Back to an empty house.
Aye. Well, we both know what that means, don't we?
Does he still go fishing, do you know?
I think it does a bit.
You should come down when I'm there. The pair of you.
Old times? Nah. Don't he be interested? I've seen nothing of him for years apart from work across a table. I shall be seeing him next week across the table when they confirm their new pay offer.
Well, it wouldn't be as he wanted it. It's just how things turn out. Oh, I'm glad he feels he can come back here now he's on his own. Takes me back donkey's years seeing him sitting in the corner of that bar there. Given you somebody else to talk to, hasn't it? He's not the only one who got himself set apart. They were in again this morning at dinner time, your lad and that Reg Brooks. Doing a spot of plotting, are they?
I wouldn't be a bit surprised.
He can remember the fish, he said. Seems he's forgotten the rest.
It's a long time. 40 years.
Go back. If you want. Go back. Go back. Go back.
At my time of life, where else is there to go?